Maria had been skipping breakfast for 3 years. At 67, she thought it would help her lose the stubborn weight that had crept on after menopause. Every morning, she'd brew her coffee, take her medications with a small sip of water, and tell herself she wasn't really hungry anyway. Her appetite had diminished over the years, and forcing down food first thing in the morning felt unnecessary, even unpleasant. The very thought of eating before 11 a.m. made her stomach turn. But by mid-morning, something troubling would happen. Her hands would start to shake slightly as she tried to water her beloved orchids on the windowsill. Her vision would blur when she bent down to pick up the newspaper from the front step. Some days, she'd feel so dizzy that she had to sit down immediately, gripping the kitchen counter until the sensation passed, her heart racing with fear that she might collapse. Her daughter Sarah noticed it first during their weekly phone calls. "Mum, you sound tired. Your voice seems weaker than usual. Are you eating enough?" Maria would brush off the concern, insisting she was fine, just getting older, just experiencing what every woman her age went through. But deep down, in those quiet moments before sleep, she knew something wasn't right. Her energy levels had plummeted to levels she'd never experienced, even during the most challenging periods of her life. Simple tasks like grocery shopping left her exhausted for hours afterward. She'd have to rest on a bench halfway through the store, pretending to check her shopping list while catching her breath. Even her morning walks, something she'd enjoyed religiously for decades, became shorter and shorter until she stopped altogether, too weak and unsteady to trust herself on the uneven sidewalks. The physical changes were accompanied by mental fog that frightened her more than the weakness. She'd forget why she'd walked into a room, struggle to remember the names of neighbors she'd known for years, and find herself staring at the television without processing what she was watching. Her once sharp mind felt dulled, as if wrapped in cotton. What Maria didn't realize was that skipping breakfast wasn't just affecting her weight or even her immediate energy levels. It was slowly, systematically destroying her body from the inside out. At 67, her metabolism had already slowed by nearly 15% from its peak. Her muscle mass was declining at a rate of nearly 8% per decade, a process that accelerated dramatically without adequate protein intake. Her blood sugar regulation was becoming increasingly inefficient, and her body's ability to maintain stable energy levels throughout the day was severely compromised. The human body after 60 operates dramatically differently than it did at 30 or even 50. During the night, older adults experience what scientists call accelerated protein breakdown, a process where the body literally cannibalizes muscle tissue to maintain vital functions. While younger people can easily rebuild muscle tissue throughout the day from modest protein intake, seniors need substantial morning protein to stop this muscle-wasting process that accelerates during sleep. Without breakfast, Maria's body was essentially eating itself every single morning, breaking down precious muscle tissue to fuel basic functions like breathing, circulation, and brain activity. This wasn't just uncomfortable or inconvenient. It was setting her up for a cascade of health problems that would compound over time. Research from multiple prestigious institutions, including Harvard Medical School and the Mayo Clinic, shows that seniors who skip breakfast have a 27% higher risk of heart attack and a staggering 87% higher risk of cardiovascular death. The physiological stress of prolonged fasting puts tremendous strain on an aging cardiovascular system, forcing the heart to work harder while operating on depleted energy reserves and destabilized blood sugar levels. The neurological impact is equally concerning. The aging brain requires approximately 20% of the body's total daily caloric intake to function optimally. When seniors skip breakfast, their brains are forced to operate on severely depleted glucose stores, leading to the cognitive symptoms Maria was experiencing: confusion, memory problems, difficulty concentrating, and that pervasive mental fog that made even simple decisions feel overwhelming. But perhaps most insidiously, skipping breakfast disrupts the delicate hormonal balance that governs appetite, metabolism, and energy regulation. Without adequate morning nutrition, the body's stress hormones, particularly cortisol, remain elevated throughout the day. This chronic stress response not only contributes to muscle breakdown, but also promotes fat storage, particularly around the midsection, and suppresses immune function. After 3 months of morning dizziness, afternoon fatigue, and a growing sense that her body was failing her, Maria's neighbor Eleanor invited her over for breakfast. Eleanor, 73 and remarkably vibrant, had noticed Maria's decline with the keen eye of someone who had walked that same path herself. "I used to skip breakfast too," Eleanor said, as she prepared something Maria had never seen before. "Until I learned what it was really doing to my body, and more importantly, what the right breakfast could do for it." Eleanor had her own story of decline and dramatic recovery. 3 years earlier, at 70, she had been struggling with what multiple doctors dismissed as normal aging. She was losing muscle mass at an alarming rate, her energy was inconsistent and unpredictable, and she found herself feeling confused and forgetful more often than she cared to admit. Her balance had become unsteady, leading to 2 minor falls that shook her confidence. Most concerning of all, she felt as though she was disappearing, becoming invisible even to herself. Like Maria, Eleanor had fallen into the trap of thinking that eating less would help her maintain her weight and health as she aged. She'd read countless articles about portion control and calorie restriction for seniors, advice that seemed logical but left her feeling weak and depleted. Her typical breakfast consisted of coffee and maybe half a piece of toast, if she bothered to eat anything at all. The turning point came when Eleanor's grandson, Marcus, a nutrition student at the state university, visited for the summer. Marcus was studying gerontological nutrition, a specialized field focused on the unique nutritional needs of aging adults. He watched his once vibrant grandmother struggle to carry groceries that would have been effortless for her just a year earlier, noticed how she'd nap every afternoon despite sleeping poorly at night, and observed her growing confusion and forgetfulness with alarm. "Grandma," he said one morning as he watched her sip coffee while ignoring the piece of toast growing cold on her plate, "when was the last time you ate a real breakfast? I mean, a breakfast with actual nutrition that could fuel your body for the day." Eleanor had been surviving on coffee and minimal food for so long that she couldn't remember the last time she'd eaten a substantial morning meal. Marcus explained something that shocked her to her core. After age 60, the body's ability to synthesize protein from smaller amounts throughout the day becomes significantly impaired. Unlike younger adults who can build and maintain muscle from modest protein intake spread across meals, seniors need substantial protein doses, particularly in the morning, to trigger muscle protein synthesis effectively. The science behind this age-related change is both fascinating and crucial for every senior to understand. During sleep, the body naturally breaks down muscle tissue through a process called muscle protein breakdown. This process serves important functions, clearing out damaged proteins and providing amino acids for vital organ function. In younger people, muscle protein synthesis easily outpaces breakdown throughout the day, maintaining and even building muscle mass. But after 60, this delicate balance shifts dramatically. Several factors contribute to this shift: decreased production of growth hormone and IGF-1, reduced sensitivity to insulin, chronic low-grade inflammation, and most critically, something called anabolic resistance. Anabolic resistance means that aging muscles become less responsive to the same protein stimulus that would effectively trigger muscle building in younger people. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition reveals that seniors need approximately 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein in a single meal to stimulate muscle protein synthesis effectively. Most traditional breakfast foods provide nowhere near this amount. A bowl of cereal with milk might provide 8 to 10 grams. 2 slices of toast with jam offer maybe 6 grams. Even oatmeal with fruit typically contains less than 10 grams of protein. These amounts, while sufficient for maintaining muscle in younger adults, are woefully inadequate for seniors. This protein threshold isn't arbitrary or theoretical. It's based on extensive research into what's called the leucine trigger hypothesis. Leucine is a specific amino acid that acts as a molecular switch, signaling the body to initiate muscle protein synthesis. Young adults need approximately 1.5 to 2 grams of leucine to trigger this switch effectively. Seniors, due to anabolic resistance, need approximately 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine to overcome their muscles' reduced sensitivity and stimulate the same muscle-building response. Marcus helped Eleanor understand that her morning coffee and toast routine was essentially programming her body for accelerated muscle loss and metabolic dysfunction. The small amount of refined carbohydrates from toast caused rapid blood sugar spikes, followed by crashes, leaving her feeling tired and hungry within hours. Meanwhile, her muscles were slowly wasting away from lack of adequate protein stimulus, particularly the crucial morning stimulus needed to counteract overnight muscle breakdown. The implications extended far beyond muscle loss. Without adequate muscle mass, Eleanor's metabolic rate was declining, making weight management increasingly difficult. Her bones were losing density more rapidly due to decreased muscle loading. Her balance and coordination were deteriorating as muscle mass and strength declined. Even her immune function was compromised, as muscle tissue serves as a reservoir of amino acids needed for immune cell production. Eleanor's grandson didn't just explain the problem. He offered a solution that would transform not only her breakfast routine, but her entire approach to aging. The breakfast he designed for Eleanor wasn't based on trendy diets or popular nutrition advice. It was grounded in cutting-edge research into optimal nutrition for healthy aging, combining the latest scientific understanding with practical, sustainable meal planning. What Eleanor prepared that morning for Maria wasn't the typical toast and jam or bowl of cereal that most people think of as breakfast. It wasn't even the oatmeal and fruit that many health experts recommend for seniors. It was something specific, something targeted, something that addressed the unique nutritional challenges of aging while providing sustained energy and satisfaction. The foundation of Eleanor's breakthrough breakfast was eggs, but not just 1 or 2 eggs, as most people might include in a meal. Eleanor used 3 whole, large eggs, each one a nutritional powerhouse specifically suited to senior needs. She explained to Maria that eggs contain all 9 essential amino acids in the exact proportions the human body requires, making them what nutritionists call a complete protein source. 3 large eggs provide approximately 18 grams of complete protein, including nearly 2 grams of leucine, putting Eleanor well on her way to reaching the optimal protein threshold for seniors. But eggs offer benefits far beyond their protein content. They're rich in choline, a nutrient essential for brain function and memory that many seniors are deficient in. They provide lutein and zeaxanthin, antioxidants that protect aging eyes from macular degeneration. They contain vitamin D, which many seniors lack due to reduced sun exposure and decreased skin synthesis. Eleanor's preparation method was crucial to maximizing these benefits. Instead of scrambling the eggs at high heat, which can damage delicate proteins and create inflammatory compounds, she prepared them as a gentle omelette, using just a small amount of extra virgin olive oil. The low, slow cooking method preserved the integrity of the proteins, while making them easier to digest for aging digestive systems that may be less efficient at breaking down and absorbing nutrients. But Eleanor had learned that eggs alone, while excellent, weren't quite enough to reach the optimal protein threshold for seniors. This is where her breakfast innovation became truly brilliant and scientifically informed. Into the eggs, Eleanor folded half a large, perfectly ripe avocado, mashed until smooth and creamy. The avocado served multiple crucial functions in this carefully designed meal. First, it provided healthy monounsaturated fats that would slow digestion and provide sustained energy throughout the morning, preventing the blood sugar roller coaster that characterized Maria's current eating pattern. These healthy fats also enhance the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins from the eggs and other ingredients, maximizing the nutritional benefit of every component. The avocado provided potassium, a mineral many seniors are deficient in and which is crucial for heart health, muscle function, and blood pressure regulation. It also supplied folate, essential for brain health and red blood cell formation. But perhaps most importantly, the healthy fats in avocado help regulate crucial hormones involved in appetite and metabolism. Seniors often experience dysregulated appetite signals, either feeling constantly hungry or having no appetite at all. The combination of protein and healthy fats helps restore normal appetite regulation, ensuring consistent energy intake throughout the day and reducing the likelihood of afternoon cravings for unhealthy snacks. The third component of Eleanor's breakfast surprised Maria and represented a departure from conventional breakfast thinking. Eleanor added a generous portion of cooked quinoa to the omelette mixture, transforming what could have been a simple egg dish into a complete nutrient-dense meal that addressed multiple aspects of senior nutrition. "Quinoa is extraordinary," Eleanor explained as she folded the fluffy grains into the eggs. "It's one of the few grains that's actually a complete protein, containing all the essential amino acids, just like eggs. When you combine them, you create this powerful synergistic effect that maximizes muscle protein synthesis." Quinoa provided an additional 8 grams of complete protein, bringing the total protein content of the breakfast to approximately 26 grams, well within the optimal range for seniors. But quinoa's benefits extended far beyond protein. It provided complex carbohydrates that would fuel Maria's brain without causing the blood sugar spikes and crashes associated with typical breakfast foods like toast, cereal, or pastries. The carbohydrate component was crucial for seniors because the aging brain becomes increasingly dependent on glucose for optimal function. Unlike younger brains that can efficiently use alternative fuel sources like ketones, senior brains require steady glucose levels to maintain cognitive performance, memory formation, and decision-making abilities. The complex carbohydrates in quinoa provided this steady glucose supply without the rapid spikes that can damage blood vessels and contribute to cognitive decline. Quinoa also provided fiber, a nutrient that many seniors don't get enough of and which is crucial for digestive health, blood sugar regulation, and even immune function. The soluble fiber in quinoa helps slow the absorption of sugars, contributing to stable blood glucose levels throughout the morning. Eleanor then added a final component that pushed the protein content over the crucial 30-gram threshold while providing additional nutrients specifically beneficial for aging bodies. She sprinkled 2 tablespoons of hemp hearts into the mixture, adding another 6 grams of complete protein, along with omega-3 fatty acids essential for brain health and inflammation reduction. Hemp hearts also provided magnesium, a mineral that up to 80% of seniors are deficient in and which is crucial for muscle function, bone health, sleep quality, and energy production. The omega-3 fatty acids in hemp hearts help reduce inflammation throughout the body, potentially slowing the progression of age-related diseases and supporting cardiovascular health. To complete the nutritional profile, Eleanor topped the omelette with a generous handful of fresh baby spinach, wilting it slightly with the residual heat from the eggs. The spinach provided folate for brain health and red blood cell formation, iron for energy and cognitive function, and nitrates that would support healthy blood flow throughout the day. For seniors dealing with declining circulation, a common issue that contributes to fatigue and cognitive problems, the natural nitrates in spinach can make a significant difference in energy levels and mental clarity. These compounds help dilate blood vessels, improving circulation to both muscles and brain. The final breakfast provided approximately 32 grams of complete protein, healthy fats for sustained energy, complex carbohydrates for brain fuel, and a comprehensive array of vitamins and minerals specifically chosen to address the common deficiencies and health challenges seen in older adults. But the magic wasn't just in the individual components, it was in their synergistic combination and optimal timing. Eleanor had learned from her grandson that protein timing is crucial for seniors in ways that most people, including many healthcare providers, don't fully understand. The body's ability to synthesize protein follows a circadian rhythm, with peak efficiency occurring in the morning hours. This makes breakfast the optimal time to provide the amino acids needed for muscle maintenance and repair. Research consistently shows that seniors who consume adequate protein at breakfast have significantly better muscle mass preservation, improved strength, better balance, and reduced fall risk compared to those who spread the same amount of protein across smaller meals throughout the day. The morning protein stimulus essentially sets the metabolic tone for the entire day, signaling the body to prioritize muscle maintenance over muscle breakdown. As Maria took her first bite of Eleanor's carefully crafted breakfast, she was surprised by how satisfying and delicious it was. The combination of creamy eggs, smooth avocado, fluffy quinoa, and tender spinach created a texture and flavor profile that was both comforting and energizing. The protein, fat, and complex carbohydrates worked together to create a feeling of sustained fullness that was completely different from the empty, shaky sensation she'd been living with for 3 years. Within the first hour after eating, Maria noticed something remarkable. The mid-morning shakiness that had become her constant companion was completely absent. Her blood sugar, which had been on a dangerous roller coaster of spikes and crashes for years, remained stable and steady. This stability translated into sustained mental clarity and physical energy that she hadn't experienced in longer than she could remember. "Give it a week," Eleanor suggested, recognizing the amazement in Maria's eyes. "Eat this exact breakfast every morning for 7 days and tell me how you feel. But more importantly, pay attention to how you feel throughout the entire day, not just in the morning." Maria was initially skeptical, but desperate enough to try anything. She had been struggling for so long, watching her body and mind decline, despite her best efforts to eat less and stay active. Even a small improvement would feel miraculous at this point. Eleanor helped Maria understand that the benefits of this breakfast approach would compound over time. The first few days would focus on stabilizing blood sugar and energy levels. The following weeks would begin to show improvements in muscle function and cognitive performance. Over months, the consistent protein intake would help preserve and even rebuild muscle mass while supporting overall health and vitality. The first day brought immediate and noticeable changes that surprised Maria with their intensity and speed. Her usual mid-morning energy crash, which had become as predictable as sunrise, simply never came. Instead of feeling shaky, confused, and desperate for sugar by 10 a.m., she felt steady, alert, and energized. Her blood sugar remained stable throughout the morning, eliminating the roller coaster that had characterized her days for years. This stability had cascading effects throughout her entire system. Her mood remained even and positive instead of irritable and anxious. Her concentration improved dramatically, allowing her to read the newspaper without losing track of the storylines. Most remarkably, she felt genuinely hungry for lunch instead of either having no appetite or craving sugary snacks. The second day revealed another profound benefit that Maria hadn't expected. She woke up feeling genuinely hungry for breakfast, a sensation she hadn't experienced in years. Her appetite, which had been suppressed by chronic undereating and blood sugar instability, began to return as her body started trusting that adequate nutrition would be consistently provided. This return of natural hunger signals was more significant than it might seem. Appetite loss in seniors is often dismissed as normal aging, but it's frequently a sign of nutritional inadequacy and metabolic dysfunction. When the body receives consistent, high-quality nutrition, natural appetite regulation returns, ensuring adequate energy intake for optimal function. Day 3 brought a breakthrough in Maria's sleep quality that she hadn't anticipated. For months, she had been waking up multiple times during the night, often feeling restless, uncomfortable, and unable to fall back asleep. She'd attributed this to normal aging and had resigned herself to poor sleep quality. The adequate protein intake from her new breakfast routine helped regulate her circadian rhythms and provided the amino acids necessary for neurotransmitter production. Tryptophan from the eggs and quinoa supported serotonin production, which then converted to melatonin for healthy sleep cycles. The magnesium from hemp hearts helped relax her muscles and nervous system, promoting deeper, more restorative sleep. Better sleep created a positive feedback loop. More restorative sleep supported better hormone regulation, improved immune function, enhanced cognitive performance, and increased energy levels the following day. Maria began waking up feeling refreshed instead of exhausted, setting a positive tone for each day. By day 4, Maria noticed significant improvements in her physical capabilities that amazed and encouraged her. Simple tasks like carrying groceries, climbing the stairs to her second-floor bedroom, and getting up from chairs felt noticeably easier. The sustained protein intake was beginning to counteract the muscle loss she had been experiencing, providing her muscles with the building blocks they needed for maintenance and repair. The improvement in physical function went beyond mere strength. Her balance felt more stable, her coordination seemed sharper, and her confidence in her physical abilities began to return. She found herself moving more fluidly and purposefully, without the hesitant, careful movements that had characterized her activity for months. Day 5 brought cognitive improvements that surprised Maria more than any physical changes. Her memory felt sharper and more reliable. She could remember names, dates, and details that had been slipping away for months. Her concentration lasted longer, allowing her to engage in activities like reading, puzzles, and complex conversations without mental fatigue. The steady glucose supply from quinoa and the brain-supporting nutrients from eggs, avocado, and spinach were optimizing her cognitive function in ways she hadn't expected. The B vitamins, choline, omega-3 fatty acids, and antioxidants were supporting neurotransmitter production, protecting brain cells from oxidative damage, and enhancing communication between neurons. By day 6, Maria's energy levels had stabilized to a degree she hadn't experienced in years. Instead of the afternoon crashes that had plagued her for months, she maintained consistent energy throughout the day. This sustained energy allowed her to return to activities she had abandoned, including household projects, social activities, and even some light gardening. The sustained energy came from the perfect balance of nutrients in her breakfast. The protein provided amino acids for sustained energy production. The healthy fats offered long-lasting fuel that didn't spike blood sugar. The complex carbohydrates supplied steady glucose for brain function. Together, these nutrients created stable energy levels that lasted throughout the day. The 7th day brought a profound realization that extended beyond physical improvements. As Maria looked in the mirror that morning, she saw something that had been missing for years: vitality. Her skin looked healthier and more radiant. Her posture was straighter and more confident. Her eyes had a brightness and alertness that she had forgotten was possible. The comprehensive nutrition from her new breakfast routine was supporting not just her muscles and brain, but her entire body's healing and regeneration processes. The antioxidants were protecting her cells from damage. The protein was supporting immune function. The healthy fats were reducing inflammation. The vitamins and minerals were optimizing countless metabolic processes. But perhaps most importantly, Maria felt like herself again. The vibrant, energetic woman she had been seemed to be returning, emerging from the fog of decline that had characterized her recent years. She felt hopeful about the future, instead of resigned to deterioration. After completing her first week on Eleanor's breakfast protocol, Maria was convinced of its power, but wanted to understand the science behind her transformation. Eleanor, delighted by her neighbor's success, explained the physiological mechanisms that had created such dramatic improvements in such a short time. The high-quality protein from eggs, quinoa, and hemp hearts had stimulated muscle protein synthesis throughout the week, essentially telling Maria's body to build and maintain muscle tissue instead of breaking it down. This process was particularly important in the morning because it counteracted the muscle breakdown that occurs during overnight fasting. The combination of protein and healthy fats had helped regulate appetite hormones throughout each day. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone, was suppressed appropriately after meals. Leptin, the satiety hormone, was enhanced, helping Maria feel satisfied for longer periods. This natural appetite regulation led to better food choices throughout the day and eliminated the afternoon cravings that had previously driven her to unhealthy snacks. The steady release of glucose from quinoa had provided consistent fuel for Maria's brain without triggering insulin spikes. This was crucial not only for cognitive function, but also for preventing the development of insulin resistance, a common precursor to type 2 diabetes in seniors. The comprehensive micronutrient profile of the breakfast had addressed multiple deficiencies that are common in older adults, but often go unrecognized. The vitamin B12 from eggs supported nerve function and red blood cell formation. The folate from spinach and quinoa supported brain health and DNA synthesis. The omega-3 fatty acids from hemp hearts reduced inflammation and supported cardiovascular health. Perhaps most significantly, the breakfast had helped restore Maria's circadian rhythms and metabolic flexibility. By providing consistent, high-quality nutrition at the same time each morning, her body had begun to anticipate and prepare for this nutritional input, optimizing digestive function, hormone production, and cellular repair processes. 2 months after beginning Eleanor's breakfast routine, Maria scheduled a comprehensive physical exam with her doctor. She wanted to understand whether the improvements she felt subjectively were reflected in objective health markers. The results exceeded both her expectations and her physician's. Maria's fasting glucose levels had stabilized in the normal range for the first time in years. Her hemoglobin A1C, a measure of long-term blood sugar control, had improved significantly. Her inflammatory markers, including C-reactive protein and interleukin-6, had decreased substantially. Even her cholesterol profile had improved, with higher HDL and lower triglycerides, despite the fact that she was now eating 3 eggs every morning. Her doctor was particularly impressed by improvements in her body composition analysis. Maria had gained 4 pounds of lean muscle mass while losing 6 pounds of fat. Her bone density had stabilized and even improved slightly, defying the typical pattern of bone loss in post-menopausal women. Her resting metabolic rate had increased by nearly 10%. Meaning her body was burning more calories at rest. These objective measures confirmed what Maria felt subjectively and provided scientific validation for the power of optimal nutrition in supporting healthy aging. Her doctor, initially skeptical of any dietary intervention that included 3 eggs daily, became interested in learning more about the approach and began recommending similar breakfast protocols to other senior patients. The transformation was so profound that Maria began sharing her story with other seniors in her community, many of whom were struggling with similar issues. Her friend Dorothy, 71, had been experiencing comparable symptoms: afternoon fatigue, memory problems, muscle weakness, and a gradual decline in physical capabilities. Dorothy had been surviving on coffee and a small muffin for breakfast, if she bothered to eat anything at all. Like Maria, she had fallen into the trap of thinking that eating less would help her maintain her weight as her metabolism slowed. She was initially resistant to the idea of eating such a substantial breakfast, worried about weight gain and concerned that the meal seemed too heavy for morning consumption. But after witnessing Maria's remarkable transformation, Dorothy agreed to try Eleanor's breakfast protocol for 1 week. Her experience mirrored Maria's closely, with rapid improvements in energy, mood, cognitive function, and physical capabilities. Within 2 weeks, Dorothy had convinced her husband Robert to join the breakfast revolution. Robert, 73, had been dealing with muscle weakness and balance problems that his doctor attributed to normal aging. He was particularly skeptical that food could make such a significant difference in his physical capabilities, having tried various supplements and exercise programs with limited success. But the results spoke for themselves clearly and convincingly. Within 3 weeks of adopting the breakfast routine, Robert's strength and balance improved noticeably, reducing his fall risk and increasing his confidence in daily activities. His morning stiffness decreased dramatically, and he found himself able to engage in physical activities he had given up years earlier. The ripple effect continued as more seniors in their community discovered the power of proper breakfast nutrition. Eleanor found herself hosting informal breakfast gatherings, teaching other seniors how to prepare the muscle-building meal that had transformed her own life and those of her neighbors. These gatherings revealed common patterns among seniors who had been struggling with breakfast and nutrition in general. Many had fallen into the trap of thinking that eating less would help them maintain their weight as their metabolism slowed with age. Others had developed negative associations with morning eating due to digestive issues, medication side effects, or simply habit. Some seniors felt too tired or overwhelmed to prepare nutritious meals, particularly in the morning when energy levels were often at their lowest. Others had been influenced by decades of diet culture messaging that portrayed eating, particularly eating substantial meals, as somehow morally questionable or health-damaging. Eleanor began addressing each of these concerns with practical solutions and scientific explanations. For seniors worried about weight gain, she explained that adequate protein actually supports healthy weight management by preserving muscle mass, which burns more calories at rest than fat tissue, and by regulating appetite hormones naturally. She demonstrated that the breakfast, while more substantial than what many seniors were accustomed to eating, provided sustained satiety that often led to eating less overall throughout the day. The high-quality nutrients supported metabolic function rather than slowing it down, and the stable blood sugar levels prevented the cravings and overeating that often resulted from inadequate morning nutrition. For those with digestive concerns, Eleanor demonstrated cooking techniques that made nutrients more bioavailable and easier to digest. Cooking eggs gently preserved their protein structure while making them easier to break down. Mashing avocado thoroughly increased its surface area for better absorption. Pre-cooking quinoa improved its digestibility and reduced the anti-nutrients that could cause digestive discomfort. She also suggested modifications for sensitive stomachs, such as starting with smaller portions and gradually increasing as the digestive system adapted, or incorporating digestive aids like ginger or probiotics to support optimal nutrient absorption. For seniors feeling overwhelmed by meal preparation, Eleanor showed how to batch prepare ingredients to make the morning routine faster and more convenient. Quinoa could be cooked in large quantities on weekends and stored in portion-sized containers for easy use throughout the week. Avocados could be purchased at different stages of ripeness to ensure a steady supply of perfectly ripe fruit. Even some components could be prepared in advance. Hard-boiled eggs could be made ahead for quick morning preparation, though Eleanor emphasized that the fresh preparation method provided optimal nutrient availability and absorption. The breakfast routine began to represent more than just nutrition for Maria and her growing community of converts. It became a daily act of self-care, a commitment to health and vitality that set a positive tone for each day. The ritual of preparing and eating a nourishing breakfast helped combat the feelings of invisibility and decline that many seniors experience in an age-obsessed culture. The act of investing time and attention in proper nutrition sent a powerful message to both body and mind. I am worth taking care of. I deserve to feel strong and healthy. I'm not ready to give up on vitality and independence. This psychological shift was as important as the physiological benefits in supporting overall well-being. As word spread about the transformative effects of this breakfast approach, more seniors began questioning the conventional wisdom around aging and nutrition. They realized that many of the symptoms they had attributed to inevitable aging were actually signs of nutritional deficiency and metabolic dysfunction that could be addressed through proper nutrition. This realization was both empowering and frustrating. Empowering because it meant that decline wasn't inevitable and that they had more control over their health than they had been led to believe. Frustrating because it highlighted how little useful nutritional guidance they had received from healthcare providers and popular media. Many discovered that the nutrition advice they had been following, focused on restriction and limitation, was actually contributing to their decline rather than supporting their health. The emphasis on eating less, avoiding fats, and restricting calories was particularly harmful for seniors whose nutritional needs were actually higher in many respects than those of younger adults. Maria's daughter Sarah began noticing the changes during their weekly phone calls. Her mother's voice sounded stronger and more confident. She reported having energy for activities she had given up years earlier. She seemed more engaged in conversations and more optimistic about the future. Most importantly, Sarah noticed that her mother sounded happy and excited about life, instead of resigned to decline and deterioration. The fear that had crept into their conversations, the worry about Maria's increasing frailty and dependence, began to fade as her mother reclaimed her strength and vitality. The breakfast that Eleanor had shared represented a fundamental shift in thinking about nutrition for seniors. Instead of focusing on restriction and weight loss, it emphasized nourishment and strength building. Instead of accepting decline as inevitable, it offered a path to vitality and independence that seemed both achievable and sustainable. 6 months after Maria began her new breakfast routine, she decided to have comprehensive body composition and metabolic testing done at a sports medicine clinic. She wanted objective measures of the changes she felt so profoundly. The results were remarkable and validated everything she had experienced subjectively. Maria had gained 5 pounds of lean muscle mass while losing 8 pounds of fat. Her bone density had improved significantly, with her spine showing particular improvement. Her resting metabolic rate had increased by 12%, meaning her body was burning substantially more calories at rest. Her grip strength had improved by 20%, and her balance scores had returned to levels typical for women a decade younger. Perhaps most remarkably, her VO2 max, a measure of cardiovascular fitness, had improved by 15% despite no significant increase in formal exercise. The improved muscle mass and metabolic function had enhanced her overall fitness and physical capabilities. These objective measures confirmed what Maria felt subjectively and provided compelling evidence for the power of optimal nutrition to support healthy aging. She was stronger, more energetic, and more capable than she had been in years, proving that decline is not inevitable and that the right nutrition can help seniors not just survive, but thrive. Eleanor's breakfast innovation had addressed the fundamental nutritional needs of the aging body in a way that typical senior nutrition advice failed to accomplish. Instead of focusing on limiting calories or avoiding specific foods, it provided abundant, high-quality nutrition that supported the body's natural healing and maintenance processes. The success of this approach highlighted a critical gap in how society thinks about nutrition for seniors. Most dietary advice for older adults focuses on disease prevention and weight management, often recommending restriction and moderation. But what seniors actually need is often the opposite: abundant, high-quality nutrition that supports muscle maintenance, cognitive function, and overall vitality. This breakfast routine also challenged the common assumption that appetite loss in seniors is natural and should be accepted. Maria's return of natural hunger, signals after years of poor appetite, demonstrated that many seniors are undernourished, not because they don't need food, but because they're not getting the right kinds of food to stimulate proper appetite regulation and metabolic function. The social aspect of Eleanor's breakfast gatherings also revealed the importance of community in senior health and wellness. Many of the seniors who joined these informal groups reported that the social connection and shared knowledge were as beneficial as the nutritional improvements. Fighting age-related decline became a community effort rather than an individual struggle. As Maria reflected on her transformation 1 year later, she realized that the breakfast Eleanor had shared was more than just a meal or even a nutrition protocol. It was a blueprint for aging with strength, dignity, and independence. It was proof that decline is not inevitable and that the right nutrition can help seniors not just maintain their health, but actually improve it significantly. The breakfast routine had become a non-negotiable part of Maria's daily routine, as essential as taking her medications or practicing basic hygiene. She had learned that consistency was absolutely key to maintaining the benefits, and that each day she chose to nourish her body properly was an investment in her future health, independence, and quality of life. Maria's story became an inspiration to seniors throughout her community and beyond, as word spread through social networks and family connections. She proved that it's never too late to make changes that can dramatically improve quality of life, and that the power to age successfully lies largely in the daily choices we make about how we nourish our bodies. Her transformation from a frail, declining 67-year-old to a vibrant, energetic woman approaching 70 demonstrated the incredible power of proper nutrition to support healthy aging. She had become living proof that with the right approach, the later years of life can be characterized by strength, vitality, and independence, rather than decline and dependence. For seniors ready to make this life-changing transition, Eleanor developed a comprehensive guide to implementing the breakfast routine successfully. The transition should be gradual but consistent, with attention to both the nutritional and practical aspects of the change. Preparation is crucial for success. Maria learned to prepare ingredients the night before to make the morning routine seamless and sustainable. She would pre-cook quinoa in large batches every Sunday, storing it in portion-sized containers that could be easily reheated. She learned to buy avocados at different stages of ripeness, ensuring a steady supply of perfectly ripe fruit throughout the week. She kept hemp hearts and spinach readily available, making the morning preparation as simple and efficient as possible. The actual preparation became a mindful ritual that Maria treasured. She would start by gently heating a non-stick pan with a small amount of olive oil while she cracked 3 fresh eggs into a bowl. The key was maintaining low to medium heat throughout the cooking process to preserve the delicate protein structures and prevent the formation of inflammatory compounds that high heat cooking can create. While the pan heated, Maria would mash half an avocado until smooth and creamy, sometimes adding a pinch of sea salt or a squeeze of fresh lemon juice for enhanced flavor and nutrient absorption. The mashing process increased the surface area of the avocado, making its nutrients more bioavailable and easier for her aging digestive system to process. She would then add the pre-cooked quinoa to the mashed avocado, creating a nutrient-dense mixture that would be folded into the eggs. The quinoa provided not just protein and complex carbohydrates, but also important minerals like manganese, phosphorus, and copper that are essential for bone health and energy production. The eggs were whisked gently and poured into the warmed pan, where they would cook slowly and evenly. Maria learned to resist the urge to rush this process, understanding that gentle cooking preserved the maximum nutritional value while creating the most digestible final product. As the eggs began to set around the edges, she would add the avocado quinoa mixture to 1/2 of the omelette. The hemp hearts were sprinkled over the mixture before folding, providing their omega-3 fatty acids, magnesium, and additional protein. Finally, fresh spinach leaves were placed on top, where they would wilt slightly from the residual heat, making them easier to digest while preserving their vitamin content. The entire process took approximately 10 to 12 minutes, but Maria found that this time investment paid dividends throughout the entire day. The sustained energy, stable mood, and enhanced cognitive function more than compensated for the additional morning preparation time. As Maria became more experienced with the routine, she discovered variations that kept the breakfast interesting while maintaining its nutritional integrity. Sometimes she would add fresh herbs like chives, parsley, or dill for additional flavor and antioxidants. Other times, she might include a small amount of salsa or hot sauce for variety. She learned that mushrooms could be sautéed and added for additional B vitamins and selenium. Bell peppers provided vitamin C and additional antioxidants. Even small amounts of cheese could be included occasionally for extra protein and calcium, though Eleanor emphasized that the breakfast was nutritionally complete without additional ingredients. The flexibility of the basic recipe made it sustainable for long-term adherence. Maria never felt bored or restricted by her breakfast choice because there were endless ways to modify and enhance the basic formula while maintaining its essential nutritional properties. 3 months into her new routine, Maria decided to track her daily energy levels, mood, and physical capabilities to better understand the full impact of her nutritional changes. She created a simple rating system from 1 to 10 for various parameters and recorded her scores each evening. The data revealed patterns that amazed her. Her energy levels had stabilized between 7 and 9 out of 10, with very little day-to-day variation. Previously, her energy had fluctuated wildly between 2 and 6, with frequent crashes that left her feeling depleted and frustrated. Her mood scores showed similar improvements. Before changing her breakfast routine, Maria's mood ratings averaged around 4 to 5 out of 10, with frequent dips into anxiety and irritability. After implementing Eleanor's breakfast protocol, her mood scores consistently ranged between 7 and 9, with a notable absence of the dramatic mood swings that had characterized her previous months. Most remarkably, her cognitive function scores improved dramatically. Tasks that had previously felt overwhelming, such as managing finances, planning activities, or engaging in complex conversations, became manageable and even enjoyable again. Her memory scores improved from an average of 3 out of 10 to consistently rating between 7 and 8. Physical capabilities showed the most dramatic improvements. Simple activities like climbing stairs, carrying groceries, or walking distances that had previously left her exhausted became effortless. Her balance and coordination improved to the point where she felt confident engaging in activities she had avoided for years. These objective self-assessments provided concrete evidence of the breakfast routine's transformative power and motivated Maria to maintain her commitment even on days when preparation felt challenging or time-consuming. 6 months after beginning the breakfast routine, Maria's annual physical examination revealed improvements that surprised both her and her physician. Blood work showed remarkable improvements across multiple markers of health and aging. Her complete blood count revealed improved red blood cell formation and function, likely due to adequate B vitamin and iron intake. Her comprehensive metabolic panel showed optimized kidney and liver function, stable electrolyte levels, and improved protein synthesis markers. Inflammatory markers had decreased significantly. C-reactive protein, interleukin-6, and tumor necrosis factor alpha all showed substantial reductions, indicating decreased systemic inflammation that is associated with accelerated aging and increased disease risk. Her lipid panel revealed an improved cholesterol profile despite consuming 3 eggs daily. HDL cholesterol had increased by 15%, while triglycerides had decreased by 20%. LDL cholesterol remained stable, but the particle size analysis showed a shift toward larger, less atherogenic particles. Perhaps most significantly, her hemoglobin A1C had decreased from 6.1% to 5.4%, moving her from the pre-diabetic range into normal glucose metabolism. This improvement occurred without any medications or dramatic lifestyle changes beyond the breakfast modification. Her physician was particularly impressed by improvements in markers of muscle protein synthesis and bone metabolism. Creatinine levels had optimized, indicating improved muscle mass and kidney function. Alkaline phosphatase levels suggested enhanced bone formation activity. These laboratory improvements provided scientific validation for what Maria experienced subjectively and demonstrated that proper nutrition can literally reverse markers of aging and disease risk. 1 year after adopting Eleanor's breakfast routine, Maria underwent comprehensive body composition analysis using dual-energy X-ray absorptiometry, the gold standard for measuring muscle mass, bone density, and body fat distribution. The results exceeded everyone's expectations. Maria had gained 7 pounds of lean muscle mass, primarily in her legs and core, areas crucial for mobility and independence. Her bone density had increased by 3.2% in her spine and 2.8% in her hips, remarkable improvements for a postmenopausal woman. Body fat percentage had decreased from 34% to 28%, but more importantly, the distribution had shifted away from dangerous visceral fat toward healthier subcutaneous stores. Her waist-to-hip ratio improved significantly, indicating reduced cardiovascular and metabolic disease risk. Muscle quality measurements showed that Maria's muscles were not just larger, but also stronger and more efficient. Her muscle density increased, indicating improved protein content and reduced intramuscular fat infiltration that occurs with aging. These objective measurements confirmed that the breakfast routine had literally transformed Maria's body composition in ways that supported healthy aging and maintained independence. The success of Maria's transformation inspired Eleanor to document the breakfast protocol more systematically. She began working with Marcus, her nutrition student grandson, to create a comprehensive guide that other seniors could follow successfully. They identified key principles that seemed crucial for success. First, consistency was absolutely essential. The breakfast needed to be consumed daily, ideally at the same time each morning, to maintain the metabolic and circadian benefits. Second, the protein threshold of 25 to 30 grams was non-negotiable. Reducing the protein content to save calories or accommodate preferences consistently led to diminished results. The leucine trigger required adequate protein density to function effectively. Third, the combination of protein, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates created synergistic effects that were greater than the sum of their parts. Eliminating any of these macronutrient categories reduced the breakfast's effectiveness significantly. Fourth, preparation method mattered. Gentle cooking preserved nutrient integrity and enhanced digestibility. High-heat cooking or processed ingredients reduced the breakfast's nutritional value and physiological benefits. Finally, the approach needed to be sustainable and enjoyable. Seniors who viewed the breakfast as a chore or restriction were less likely to maintain the routine long-term. Those who embraced it as self-care and nourishment found it easier to sustain indefinitely. Eleanor and Marcus also identified common obstacles and developed solutions for each. Time constraints could be addressed through batch preparation and simplified cooking methods. Cost concerns were minimal, since the ingredients were relatively inexpensive, and the breakfast often reduced overall food costs by eliminating expensive processed breakfast foods and reducing snacking. Digestive issues could be managed through gradual introduction, smaller initial portions, and gentle cooking methods. Taste preferences could be accommodated through the many possible variations while maintaining nutritional integrity. Social barriers, such as family members who were skeptical or unsupportive, required education and sometimes gradual introduction of the concepts. Many seniors found that sharing their positive results with family members helped overcome initial resistance. The breakfast routine represented more than just a nutrition protocol for Maria and the growing community of seniors who adopted it. It became a symbol of empowerment and agency in the aging process. Instead of accepting decline as inevitable, they were actively working to maintain and improve their health and vitality. This shift in mindset had profound implications beyond nutrition. Seniors who experienced success with the breakfast routine often became more proactive about other aspects of their health. They were more likely to engage in appropriate exercise, seek preventive medical care, and make other positive lifestyle choices. The sense of control and efficacy that came from experiencing such dramatic improvements through their own actions was psychologically powerful. Many seniors reported feeling more optimistic about their futures and more confident in their ability to age successfully. Maria's story also challenged ageist assumptions about the potential for improvement in later life. Her transformation demonstrated that significant positive changes were possible even in the seventh decade of life, inspiring other seniors to reconsider their own assumptions about aging and decline. The ripple effects extended to family members and healthcare providers as well. Maria's daughter, Sarah, became an advocate for optimal senior nutrition within her own social circle. Maria's physician began incorporating similar breakfast recommendations into care plans for other senior patients. Eleanor's informal breakfast education sessions evolved into a structured program that was eventually adopted by the local senior center. The success stories multiplied as more seniors discovered the power of proper morning nutrition to transform their aging experience. 2 years after beginning her breakfast transformation, Maria reflected on the profound changes in her life. The physical improvements were remarkable and measurable, but the psychological and social benefits were equally significant. She had reclaimed her independence and confidence. Activities that had become fearsome challenges, such as shopping alone or attending social events, were once again sources of pleasure and engagement. Her relationships with family and friends had improved as her energy and optimism returned. Most importantly, Maria had discovered that aging didn't have to mean inevitable decline and loss. With the right nutrition and lifestyle choices, the later years could be characterized by vitality, strength, and continued growth. The breakfast routine had become so automatic and enjoyable that Maria couldn't imagine starting her day any other way. The 10 minutes of morning preparation felt like an investment in her future self, a daily commitment to health and vitality that paid dividends throughout each day. Maria's transformation from a frail, declining senior to a vibrant, energetic woman in her 70s became legendary in her community. She proved that it's never too late to make changes that can dramatically improve quality of life, and that the power to age successfully lies largely in the daily choices we make. Her story serves as inspiration and instruction for the millions of seniors who are struggling with the challenges of aging. It demonstrates that with the right knowledge and commitment, the golden years can truly be golden, characterized by strength, vitality, and independence rather than decline and dependence. The breakfast that Eleanor shared wasn't just a meal, it was a blueprint for successful aging, a daily practice that supported not just physical health, but also psychological well-being and social engagement. It represented a fundamental shift from accepting aging as decline to embracing aging as an opportunity for continued vitality and growth. For seniors ready to embark on this transformative journey, the path is clear and achievable. The investment in time and attention required is minimal compared to the profound benefits that await. Tomorrow morning presents an opportunity to begin a new chapter in the aging story, one characterized by strength, energy, and unlimited possibility. The choice is simple but profound. Continue accepting decline as inevitable, or choose the path that Maria discovered, the path that leads to sustained energy, preserved strength, and maintained independence. The future you create begins with the breakfast you choose tomorrow morning. Your body has carried you through decades of life, through challenges and celebrations, through work and rest and everything in between. It deserves the nutrition it needs to carry you through the years ahead with strength, dignity, and unwavering vitality. That journey begins tomorrow morning with 3 eggs, half an avocado, cooked quinoa, hemp hearts, and fresh spinach. Simple ingredients that add up to a profound difference in how you age. The question isn't whether you're too old to make this change or whether it's worth the effort. The question is whether you're ready to discover what your body is still capable of when you give it exactly what it needs. Maria found her answer in Eleanor's kitchen, and her transformation began with that very first breakfast. If this message resonates with you, if you see yourself in Maria's story or recognize the possibility that Eleanor represents, then you know what to do. Tomorrow morning, instead of reaching for just the coffee pot or heading out the door on an empty stomach, take 15 minutes to prepare this life-changing breakfast. Your body will thank you, your energy levels will thank you, and your future self will thank you for making this one simple but powerful choice. Share your experience in the comments below. Tell us about your current breakfast routine and how you're planning to change it. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to make their own transformation. Together, we can redefine what it means to age, one breakfast at a time.